Ms. Paula, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right, I see Trustee Ramos and I see Dr. LeBlanc on here, so we can actually get started. All right, it is now 5:01 and I call this meeting to order. We're reconvening from closed session. Ms. Paula, roll call.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Present.
Trustee Ramos, Trustee Ramos,
Present.
Dr. Little, Trustee Lopez,
Present.
Dr. Little,
I don't see her on, Ms. Paula. You can go with the remainder of the roll call. We'll acknowledge her when she comes in.
that's all.
Mr. Atkins should be on your roll call now.
I'm here.
Vincent Atkins?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to, Trustee Little Dr. Little has joined us, Ms. Paula, if you can acknowledge her.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Little.
All right, moving on to Pledge of Allegiance. If we can have Dr. LeBlanc lead us in the pledge, please.
Yes, I know you call on me because of the flag. Okay, hands over your hearts, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Dr. LeBlanc. All right, moving on to item number 6, report of actions taken in closed session. There is nothing to report. Item number 7, approval of open session agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc and seconded by Trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paula?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez,
Aye.
Trustee Atkins.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 8, oath of office. We have a new student trustee, Benson Atkins, and so now I'm going to perform the oath of allegiance.
Okay.
And so you just would repeat after me, okay?
Okay.
Raise your right hand and say, I state your name,
I, Benson Atkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
for a form
that I will support
that I will support
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California
of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith.
and allegiance. Oh, sorry, give me a second. I lost
Okay.
that I will take this obligation freely
I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
for a purpose of invasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties I'm about to enter.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9, recognition We have Assembly Member Mike Gibson joining us from the 64th Assembly District. Moving it over to the Assembly Member.
This meeting is being recorded.
Get a feedback.
Hello? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Barely. It's a
Wonderful. Well, greetings to each and every one of you. We thank you very much for giving me this brief moment to say a few words to each of you. I'm honored to be able to address this August body. To all the board members, Dr. Curry, and to the staff, again, thank you very much. We pray that everyone has remained healthy, most of all, and also safe during this very, very difficult time that we find ourselves in this pandemic. I just will simply say that we can all get through this if we, again, listen to our healthcare professionals and do what they have instructed us to do, and we can get through this. I, for one, has been a victim, not me personally. Well, me personally, I have lost 2 family members to COVID-19 in April, and so I can speak with some with some assurity that we should also, again, listen to the healthcare professionals and do what they tell us to do. I'm back home. I'm here home from Sacramento. We just ended about 2 weeks ago our legislative session, where certainly COVID-19 was front and center. Everything that we were focusing on a number of areas. One, COVID-19 being center stage. We also were dealing with the unrest, the wildfires, and we made those a priority for the legislature, and then our work reflects just that. In the interest of time, I just want to focus on and share with you that on the governor's desk lies a couple of my bills. We all had to reduce our bill load in order to focus on, one, COVID-19 and all the different complexities that brings by way of housing and moratorium on eviction, not only individuals, but also businesses as well. We have taken in and spent so much money around making sure that individuals who have lost their job due to this pandemic had their unemployment checks. And there's a number of different problems and issues with EDD, and we're certainly trying to address those problems. But I want to talk about one, Assembly Bill 1196 that dealt with banning the carotid artery restraints and also the chokehold. Many of you saw George Floyd being murdered, being executed at the hands of the very individuals who swore to protect us. And so as a result of that, I wrote a bill called 1196 that would ban the carotid artery restraints and the chokeholds in the state of California. And I'm happy to say when I introduced the bills, a number of law enforcement agencies and departments actually started to ban that practice in their own departments. At Los Angeles Police Department stopped using the chokehold when we had a racist police chief by the name of Gerald Gates, who was racist, who said that at the hands of police officers using and performing the chokehold, Black people's necks was just too thin. The Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles City Council directed and banned that use from being used 20 years ago when Gerald Gates was a police chief. But what has happened is systematically, law enforcement all over California were using or dismantling one and not the other. My bill 1196 that went through the legislative process and now awaits on the governor's desk for him to sign it, and we believe he will sign it, it will ban this racist and discriminatory policies that law enforcement has been used. And I want to also indicate 27% of the individuals who law enforcement used that on, both methods, were African-American, but 26% was in fact Latinos. Makes up 53% that those techniques were used only on Black and brown people. And now we're going to ban that practice ever being used in the state of California. So I'm happy to say that the George Floyd's Bill 1196 sits on the governor's desk awaiting his signature. In addition to that, Assembly Bill 901, which eliminates the practice of voluntary probation in which youth are placed under probation supervising for behavior. And what that bill does is you can be in school, you can be truant and being absent from schools, and they're going to throw you into probation, which allows them to come in and do search and seizure, put curfews, but you never broke into the law. And so you shouldn't be treated as if you have broken the law. And so Assembly Bill 901 eliminates that practice, and they'll focus on those who actually need that kind of supervision from probation. But those kids who have never violated any crime other than being late from school, other than maybe their grades, should not be thrown in that particular pool. And again, we're talking about Black and brown kids who've been traumatized by the use of this. And so we're now stopping that practice, and that bill waits on the governor's desk. Last year, we were able to get about $44 million into the budget before COVID-19 hits. And as a result of that, we got $3 million for the city of Compton. And that is to revitalize, to reimagine the Compton Creek. It's a natural creek. We're going to connect Compton Creek, Dr. Keith Curry, to the LA River. And what does that mean, Andres Ramos? What that means is that you'll be able to go to LA and you'll be able to canoe all the way down to Compton, or you'll be able to canoe from Compton to the LA River. And what that means for the property owners along the creek is that the property values goes up. And then we're doing park space. We're doing a equestrian center for our horses, and also a running path, a jogging path, greenery, benches and things of that nature. We're going to revitalize Compton and make it look even better. And so we hope that people want to come and live and just be part of this new experience that is $3 million. $3 million doesn't get us where we need to go. And so we hope to be able to go back and get some more money. It's going to take about $100 million that we're partnering with the Santa Monica Conservancy and others to give us those money that the Compton can qualify. All I'm trying to paint the picture is that it's a new day. It's a great day to be in the city of Compton, and I commend each and every one of you for all the work that you do to help uplift our city. And so we'll be making a presentation before the Compton City Council on the 15th of September. So stay tuned to that. Also, the Compton Working Group. Again, we have people, whether it's the Mexican the Ranchero Cowboys or the Black Cowboys, everyone is involved in this. And so we're excited that is coming to the city of Compton. Also, Assembly Bill 2655. I call that bill the Kobe Bryant bill, because what many of you may remember, Sonia Lopez, is that when that crash took place, that claimed the life not only of Kobe and Gigi and others who were on the helicopter, we had some deputy sheriffs taking pictures of the remains as well as the wreckage. And can you imagine that's the way you find out that your loved one passed away, is because they post that stuff on social media? So what this bill will do is ban and also set fines. We remove jail time out of it, but set fines for any officer or first responder for taking unauthorized pictures using their own personal phones for their own kicks and giggles, and or selling those stories to the media. No family should find out their loved one died in a very horrific death by social media, Facebook and the like. And so we're going to stop those kind of practices from taking place in the state of California. So I'm happy to say that. And again, even though my office is closed down, both the Capitol office and the district office, Dr. LeBlanc, we still stand ready to answer people's calls, especially if you have EDD concerns, questions, you can't get your check. Let us block for you. Let us run interference for you so you can get your check, because we know that this is a difficult time, that people are hurting and people need their money, and these money should not be held up due to people that can't get it together in the EDD department. And we are calling for the secretary resignation. We're also calling that there will be heads that will be changed as a result of that. We did the same thing when it came down to the DMV. We're going to do it right now with EDD, because again, People should not have to go through hoops to get what they deserve to get. And so let me conclude by simply saying that we stand willing, ready, able to do whatever heavy lifting for Compton Community College that we need to do. We couldn't do a lot of advancing of bills that we wanted to do because of this pandemic. We hope that 2021 will certainly bring a better day, a better opportunity for us to, one, fight and also block and kick on behalf of Compton Community College and all the students that go there. So let me say thank you very much for giving me this brief moment just to greet each and every one of you. Please call on me. Please call on Brenda Contreras, who's my liaison to the Compton area. We want to be there for each and every one of you. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member, for joining us in today's meeting. And if your representative would like to leave her contact information in the chat, anyone in the meeting most definitely would be able to follow back up. I also wanted to take this opportunity to let you know we will be mailing to your district office a plaque that we have for all that you have done for our community college. We thank you on behalf of the board and the district.
Well, thank you very much. And again, I believe to each and every one of you, the best is yet to come. We just need to hold fast. We will weather this storm together, and we'll have brighter days yet ahead of us. So hold on. Brighter days are yet ahead of us.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
President Lopez. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to item number 11, request to address the Board of Trustees. Ms. Paula, do we have anyone who signed up?
Yes, we have one request,
All right, if you can please read them out loud.
certainly. That is from David Maruyama. The statement is as follows. Pay your bills on time. Some district vendors have had outstanding invoices over a year past due. Many faculty and staff have not been reimbursed for work completed. Pay your bills. David Moriyama. There are no other requests.
Moving on to item 11.02, which is Compton Community College District Board of Trustees future agenda items request. Did any of the board members have any items? And I'm going to start off with Dr. LeBlanc. I see her shaking no. Trustee Ramos?
No.
Dr. Little?
Right. No.
Okay. And then the Trustee Atkins?
Yes, I have one. Then I will bring that up at the next meeting once I get all the information.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 12, reports from representatives. We will start off with ASB. Do we have someone from ASB joining us in today's meeting?
Hello, Board of Trustees. My name is Queen Warsword. I serve as the Associated Student Body President. And for my Associated Student Body President report, I'd like to report that the remaining ASB positions that are open will be fulfilled and filled by September of this month. I'd also like to report that the workshops we do have bi-weekly ASB are still being conducted by Chris, our advisor. Also, we just successfully had our virtual welcome day, which I was very much so invited and was pleased to attend at Compton College, where I got to introduce myself and the associated body and what we're doing this year. And that's my report for today.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 12.2, Academic Senate report. Do we have a representative?
Yes, I am here,
Oh,
Dr. Minodora Mogordanu. Hi. Just reporting from Academic Senate, we had our first meeting for the semester last week. We have approved the curriculum that was passed on during the summer. We have also approved the new DE addendum language. All of our divisions have now had their elections. So at our next meeting on September 17, we will be starting with our new roster of senators. We have identified already a representative to the board because our previous board representative retired. And we're still looking at this point for a secretary for the Academic Senate. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we will have that as well. VP Berger introduced to the Academic Senate a series of 6 board policies and administrative regulations. The Senate has had a first read on them, and we will be finalizing hopefully those at our next meeting. I We have a couple of our senators, including the past academic senate president, Amber Gillis, serving on the statewide academic senate on the resolution writing committee, and we have one of our adjuncts serving on another ASCCC committee as well. And I think this is all I have for today.
Thank you. Moving on to 12.03 CCCFE Certified Employees Report. Do we have anyone present?
So I did talk to Holly Shoemaker this afternoon. She wanted me to report that they continue to complete negotiations with the district and they're hopeful to complete negotiations this Friday. And that was her report.
Got it. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 12.04 CCCFE Classified Employees Report. Do we have anyone present? All right, moving on. Item number 13, Board of Trustees meeting minutes for August 17th, Special Board of Trustees. Can I get a motion?
Trustee, Board President Lopez, I did put item 13.01 through 13.03 if you want to as a part of the consent, so you vote on all three at the same time, if that's the will of the board.
Give me a second. So it's listed on here twice. Is that what you're letting me know?
It's listed in this section as consent, so you have to vote on all three at the same time.
I don't think it printed out that way for me, but I have a motion on the floor to vote at the same time for item 13.01, 13.02, and 13.03.
I can withdraw my motion if need be, or we can go ahead and vote for all three down, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Sorry, I didn't even hear your first motion. If you had already made it, then we will go individually with each one.
In that case, let's just go ahead and go with the consent calendar. I withdraw my motion.
All right, Dr. LeBlanc has withdrawn her motion, and currently on the table, I have a motion to vote for 13.01, 13.02, and 13.03 as part of consent agenda item.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion? No discussion, Ms. Paula?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez,
Aye.
Student Trustee Atkins.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 14 for presentations. Our first presentation is Tartar Focus and Directed Pathways to Completion, Guided Pathways. Dr. Curry.
All right, so the Board of Trustees is well aware the district and the college have been working since 2017 on the implementation of guided pathways. So I'm excited to introduce Vice President Elizabeth Martinez, who will introduce all the presenters in today's presentation. Vice President Martinez.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, our newly minted student trustee and community members that are here today. My name is Elizabeth Martinez. I'm the Vice President of Student Services here, and I would like to give the floor to my colleagues that will be presenting alongside with me today for our Guide Pathways Committee presentation.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sherry Berger, Vice President of Academic Affairs and Tri-Chair of our Guided Pathways Committee.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Citlali Gonzalez. I'm Counseling Faculty and Tri-Chair of the Guided Pathways Committee.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Cesar Jimenez. I am the Dean of Counseling and Guided Pathways.
All right, thank you. So together we'll be doing this presentation for you in an update. Next slide. All right, so this is going to be an overview of our presentation. I will just do a couple of bits of connecting some of the dots of where we left off since we began this work in 2017. And then we will review some of the great work that has happened at Compton College that we're extremely proud of, that we would like to share with you all and highlight for you, and then also go on to our next steps. So once again, just touching on the key elements of our guided pathways work here at our college, we have been tasked, of course, with the Chancellor's Office to focus on 6 key points. And so throughout our presentation, we'll focus on how these overlay with our charter completion by design model. And so those 6 points that we have are: 1, programs that are fully aligned and mapped out; 2, proactive academic and career advising; 3, early alert systems; 4, redesigning and integrating basic skills and developmental education classes; 5, structured onboarding process; and 6, an instructional support and co-curricular activities. Next slide. And so what we did here with those 6 points, we overlaid them over our charter completion by design framework that we have. And so you see that a lot of the work that we have right now, that we've done, that we will share with you, we've laid them over on top, and we're working specifically on a lot of the work on connection, moving on to entry and progress. So those are the main areas right now, and a lot of the work that we've been focusing on, that for our students to be able to increase our student success. Dr. J.
Okay, so I'm gonna, for the next couple of slides, I'll talk about the accomplishments. In 2017, we launched a Guided Pathways framework. And as you can see here, a couple of the items that I really wanted to highlight. One was developing the Guided Pathways Committee, which has been super critical to the framework and implementing our efforts, which includes our classified professionals, faculty, but as you can imagine, the work cannot be done without students. We launched our Tartar Success Team Institute this past fall, 2019, and we had students present who were there, who shared their experiences. And as we continue to do the work, it's very key and pivotal. The other item that I do want to highlight as well is Thomas Bailey. Thomas Bailey is the president of Teachers College at Columbia University, and he leads the CCRC Community College Research Center. Just a few bullet points above, you'll see that Compton College distributed the Redesigning America's Community College book. So Thomas Bailey was one of the co-authors there, and we invited him to come out to Compton College to speak and really let us know what was or is Guided Pathways, and learning from other colleges and universities who've implemented the Guided Pathways framework. Fast forward to 2018, that's a time period really when we started making a little bit more, or trying to make sense of the work that we've been doing as it relates to Guided Pathways. As you can see, some of the structural changes that we've made, one included a new director of institutional effectiveness. We reviewed our courses, our curriculum. We went from 3 divisions to 5 Guided Pathway divisions, which really are, our 5 meta majors. And the last point there, program mapper, which I'll dive into a few slides from now. The program mapper work begins, and that's really trying to understand the courses that students could potentially take semester, including intersessions. And so we started having those discussions of what roadmaps really look like for our students. So that's 2018. If we move on to the next slide, we have 2019. So we continue to make some of the structural changes. We hired Dean of Counseling, myself. We deployed or announced the Tartar Success Team, Tartar Success Teams themselves, which include classified professionals, faculty as well, and administrators. We had a Tartar Success Team Institute back in fall of 2019, which included key external stakeholders. One of them was partnering with the Chancellor's Office, and 2 was partnering with EAB. As you can see there in summer, EAB membership begins. EAB stands for the Educational Advisory Board, and they were very helpful in really helping us ground the Tartar Success Team Institute with the design thinking model. Fast forward to fall of 2019, the structural changes, really how we can continue to sustain the Guided Pathways work continues. So one of them was creating a Guided Pathway Division Chair MOU. 2, our counselors became Guided Pathway Division counselors. And then another item that I want to highlight is the program maps. We now start having a second iteration of program maps. we've gone through the first iteration. How does this look like now moving forward? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And as a matter of fact, one of our student trustee, Benson Atkins, has been very critical. We've involved during that process, not just faculty or the Guided Pathways Committee, but we also involved students. So we had student voice when it came to the program maps themselves. We can move on to the next slide.
In 2020, we really began our momentum with the Georgia State University trip, which was a wealth of inspiration and also just knowledge sharing with that campus on how to close achievement gaps. We began or continue to build cross collaboration, not only amongst ourselves with the GP committee and the Tartar success teams, but also between our internal systems that were being developed using the technology like DegreeWorks and CRM Advise. We also began to create initiatives to support students to go, which we'll go into more detail in the next slides. But one of those is, for instance, like the Change of Major campaign to really focus in on that intensive and proactive academic advising. Next slide, please. One of the initiatives that came out of the spring is the Cccfe Mypath creation and implementation. This is an onboarding tool that students are able to see immediately after they apply to the campus. It is tailored and customized to a student's needs, so it has immediate contact for students to onboard themselves and get pertinent information to access vital student services, which is very critical right now, especially in this time of COVID. And that should be going live very, very soon. Next slide.
So we're right back to Program Mapper. So we had a first iteration of Program Mapper, version 1.0, and now we've launched version 2.0. And we involved folks from different areas of the campus. For example, the Guided Pathways Committee, again, includes our classified professionals, faculty, and administration. But we also included discipline faculty, our division chairs, our academic deans, the Guided Pathway counselors as well, collaborated with the faculty, the discipline faculty, also co-authored or co-led this charge. And as I mentioned before, one of the things that, one of my favorite things that we did with the Program Mapper the second time around is that we worked with our ASB. We had our students that we met throughout this process, where we also received feedback, and we were able to integrate some of that feedback. We went to Academic Senate. We presented, I think, over a span of 2 months, maybe 2 or 3 times. And so we also incorporated our Academic Senate feedback, which was very, very constructive and helpful. As you can see here, this is just a screenshot of what Program Mapper looks like. But once we launch, you're going to see more of it, and it's kind of a little bit of a game changer. Now students are able to visually see what courses they can take, and they can look at it in different pieces. You can see their courses mapped out with the prerequisites, or the bottom. There's another screenshot that gives you a different visual perspective. The other thing that I really like about Program Mapper that you can see on the right-hand side at the bottom is salary and job growth outlook. So not only are students seeing the courses that they could potentially complete in their certificate or their degree, but they're able to make a little bit more of an informed decision when it comes to a major or a career. So now they're able to say, okay, I'm interested in administration of justice. What can I do here? And there's video from the Chancellor's office where students can see what a student who's pursuing AJ can do. And then what will this job look like, 5 years from now? How much can I make? And will this job be here 5, 7, 10 years down the road? So that's a little bit about Program Mapper. We can move on to the next slide. So some of these different pieces are really a part of, what Thomas Bailey discussed through CCRC and the Guided Pathways framework. I like to think about the book as a blueprint. And I'm going to borrow something that President Curry once said. And we're creating the maroon print. We're creating our own maroon print, and that is we're implementing the Guided Pathways framework. The second piece here is a CRM advised early alert. So we piloted in fall of 2019. We had 12 faculty participated and they generated over 300 alerts. We scaled that in spring of 2020, and we had 79 faculty submit early alerts. We had over 1,700 of those alerts in spring of 2020. And I'm gonna, if I could be honest and candid with the group, in summer 2020, I kind of expected a little bit of a change there, but we continue to see more faculty involvement. You can see a huge change from fall 2019, which is a 16-week semester, to a summer 2020 intersession. You know, we still had a good amount of faculty participate and a good number of early alerts submitted. You know, it was an opportune time for us to actually implement early alert, because as COVID-19 hit back in March, we really started using early alert a lot. And you can see there are a couple of the quotes from the student services advisors and quotes that they collected from their interaction with the students. So not only were they texting students, not only were they emailing the students, but they were calling the students. And so, you know, I'll read maybe the first bullet point. From one of the student services advisors, the student said, classes are still in session. I was thinking of waiting to participate in my classes until campus reopens. Thanks for the clarification. Which, you know, as much as we think, you know, we're promoting and we're reaching out to students, you know, it just shows you that that human interaction only adds value with the CRM early alert piece. And we can move on to the next slide. Change of major. So the change of major campaign was really a phone call campaign that we utilized really for two reasons. One, to make sure the student was in the right program of study. As we all know, maybe from other California community colleges or pretty much nationwide, you know, a student might fill out an application, say they're interested in one major, but more than likely they might be interested in something else. And it could be difficult for the student to change their major. They may assume that's already been changed based on a conversation. So the primary focus here is to make sure the student was in the right program of study, which also helps with their Tartar success teams as we continue the discussion of case management. But the second reason we also had to change the major campaign was really as a COVID-19 sort of like a well-being check-in, just check in with the students and see how their transition was from online, from, you know, brick and mortar in person to online. And so we created a script, we had a workflow, we had our counselors calling the students, and they had their Excel spreadsheets where they were combing through their students and literally calling these students, checking in with them, making sure they're the right program of study, and just check in with them. You can see there a couple of student testimonials. One of them for one of our counselors, Dr. Raquel Michelle Jackson. When I call students, most were surprised but appreciative of the call. Some were very open about their situation and seemed to want to talk through whatever they were experiencing. So it was very meaningful to continue those discussions, and it added value when we had the major campaign also as a COVID-19 check-in. Next steps. We are going to continue to have the change of major campaign, and we're going to launch it through an online platform. Next slide.
During the spring 2020 semester, we had a campus-wide guided pathways professional development, and originally we had wanted to do an in-person digital equity walk that was inspired by the work at Fullerton and Cypress College. We were invited there to participate in their in-person equity walk, to step into the shoes of a student, experience and be able to build empathy with things that, you know, we may take for granted. So initially it was an in-person activity. With COVID-19 hitting exactly at that time, we were able to pivot and change it into a digital experience. We had over 128 faculty and staff participate in this activity, this professional development, where we were able to take a closer look at our website and be able to provide student experiences and have teams of people walk through what it's like to be in that student's shoes. And students were also participating in these smaller groups to walk through the student experience and to really vet our website and see where we needed to improve, especially with COVID happening all at once. We wanted to be able to adjust how we were serving students and ensure that we were empathizing with their experience and providing clear, student-friendly communication. And with that, I will pass it to VP Sherry Berger.
Thank you. And so as I bring us in the home stretch here, our next steps for this year is we are looking at having a Tartar Success Team proposal kickoff. Last year, the TSTs came up with some proposals, but because of COVID, we weren't able to be implementing them. So we're going to pick up that work from spring and work on it this year. We're also looking at a TST case management model for each of the Guided Pathways divisions. And we are focusing in on 2 design teams, one to discuss connection, issue in connection, and another in entry, in order to use data to hit a problem, tackle that problem, investigate it, come up with solutions to improve the student experience, with the ultimate goal of then, of course, improving the measurements and the metrics. We are partnering with Achieving the Dream, and they will be working with us with these design teams, as well as the College Futures Foundation with Dr. Rob Johnstone. And we've been accepted to the California Guided Pathways Project. And so we are pulling all of those resources to help us with the momentum that we have for this year. Next slide, please. We did hire, we've hired 2 of the 5 professional development liaisons for each Guided Pathways division. These are faculty within those divisions. We're continuing our equity work, as well as working to contextualize the curriculum by Guided Pathways division. We will be launching our Tartar Success Team Institute 2.0, since last year was 1.0. And that will be also in collaboration with our partners from Achieving the Dream, Futures Foundation, and California Guided Pathways. We want to continue with our website and Mypath redesign that was informed by the Digital Equity Walk. We are looking at another community college to go visit to see how we can improve. We're going to continue scaling up the program mapper, and we're developing an MOU of, I think it's supposed to be Memorandum of Understanding with CSU Dominguez Hills for our pathways into that university. And then any questions? Next slide.
All right, moving it on to the board members. Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any discussion?
Well, first of all, I'd like to applaud the team on their efforts of integrating technology into the Guided Pathway initiatives. I just had 2 very general questions. One had to do with the program mapping. I was wondering if the students had any interface in that process, or if that was just a tool for counseling. And then my second question was with your digital equity walk, and I wanted to know what the level of student participation was with that. Is that something that, I mean, it sounds like a great tool, but how do the students even know that it exists, and what is their level of participation? Thank you. Oh, those are my questions.
They're waiting on me. So, Vice President Dean Jimenez, can you please answer that question?
Yes. So the second time around with Program Mapper 2.0, it was a multi-pronged approach where we had our academic deans or division chairs, the lead guided pathway counselors, who work with the discipline faculty, and we work with academic senate. What I mean by that is we presented a few times there and collected the feedback. But like I said before, I think one of my favorite times with the program mapper was showcasing this to the students, but also collecting their feedback. And we went there a number of times with associate student body. And like I mentioned before, at that point, our student trustee, Benson Atkins, was present. So once we've developed this, we said to the students, okay, here's a tool that you're going to be able to use moving forward, but does it make sense? Because whatever we create could be cream of the crop, but does it make sense to the student? And so it was very interesting to hear their feedback. I mean, some of them were saying, I'm about to graduate, or I may not be here anymore, but it was more, wow, this looks amazing. I wish, we could have it now. But one of the questions that ASB had is, will this replace counseling? Which I think tends to be a very common question. And in the program mapper, we have added some verbiage that says, this is a tool, but it's very, very important to meet with your counselor. And this is something that students are able to access and look. One of the ideas that we had with ASB that I've seen from another California community college, and ASB was very receptive. I said, you know what? I think it'd be good if this comes from the students. What if we have students, create a video showcasing what Program Mapper is and explaining it to their own peers. So they were very open and they were very receptive. That was an idea that they really liked. And so it was good feedback that we received. Trustee LeBlanc, I hope that answers your question.
That gives me insight. I guess my only caution is that as we come up with these great technological tools, we want to make sure that we are connecting the students with it, because sometimes we can get really caught up with, the new fancy tool or method, but we want to make sure that the students know that it's there, one, and two, that they have access to these new tools. And I understand that you said you kind of talked with ASB, but that's the kind of small population. And so that's where I'm going with it, making sure that that connectivity is there for students as we develop technological tools. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to Trustee Ramos.
None. Thank you for the report.
No problem. Dr. Little?
Yes, thank you again for the report. Just another quick question as a follow-up, similar to Dr. LeBlanc. In terms of accessibility, which we've noticed with COVID, how will it be tracked, like the usage, and not just for those who get on, but the gaps, like for students who may or may not use it? What will be kind of the marketing or driver to encourage students to use it? And then my second question is, are there like set expected outcomes or desired outcomes 1 year, 2 year, 3 year out, and then some sort of tracking of a change or an enhancement to their experience as a result of these programs?
Are you referring to the program mapper, or are you referring to all the services provided under Guided Pathways?
The collective group. So I was talking about the technological program first, in terms of how are you going to not only track, but encourage those when if you find out 30% are using it, to Dr. LeBlanc's point, right? What will be the messaging or outreach to the 70% to kind of track why or why not? And then overall for the office and the whole effort, what are any targets as a result of this comprehensive approach? These will be the different outcomes.
So let me begin with this. I'm going to turn it over to the team to answer some of this. I think when you look at the overall outcomes that we're looking for is an increase in our institutional effectiveness, set goals, which is part of the board agenda, which look at students' completion, how many students are completing transfer level English and math. So the whole comprehensive plan in regards to the work that we're doing is to meet those metrics that's included in the institutional effectiveness goals of the college. That's the overall goal. The second piece of your question, and I'm just going a little bit more into details regards to like program mapper. And I think where you're going with it is, okay, so one is how many students are actually utilizing program mapper. From the program mapper, are those students completing within a 2 to 3 year period? And what effects did it have? And then what type of data are we collecting as it relates to the program mapper? So I think that's where you're going with it on this one. And so I think we're not there yet overall with our basically the comprehensive evaluation piece of the Guided Pathways, because there's so many different moving parts to it. So I think we have to be very strategic over the next couple of months of how we're going to evaluate every single effort, and at what momentum points are we asking students for some of that data.
Yeah, because I think it would be important, because you may find that if you have 5 interventions, 3 may be more effective. And so trying to track them individually may help. And then you don't have the team, quote unquote, burned out, so to speak, trying to do everything. Or you may find that something is an accelerator and we may need to pivot resources more to that point. And to just going back to that first point about usage, I do think it's important, to the best of our ability, to get a pre-post to see if it is, contributing to retention, lowering the amount of years, which to me has some very positive outcomes of cost and ability to, advance to another level of higher education. So it may be more of a longitudinal approach, but I would hope that we're thinking about it at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think what could help, and the team could jump in on this, is that they're still trying to define roles and responsibilities. So last year was our first year regards to the guided pathway structure for our campus and the success teams. And the team right now, and I'm going to a meeting tomorrow, is really trying to figure out how the activities that we're going to be doing for a 60-month period for fall this spring. So they're trying to figure out the activities, and once that's done, then we can start looking at how we're going to evaluate the comprehensive programs and services. But I see where you're going with this, and we can come back with the next 2 to 3 months regards to an update on the evaluation of it. But I want to give the team some time to figure out what type of activities will be implemented over a 16-week period to really flush it out by Guided Pathways Division. And then from there, we can start looking at the evaluation instrument and how do we evaluate the entire program. Right now, we're just not there yet because they're still trying to figure it out. And I want to give them some more time to try to figure out how we provide the services over 16 weeks and what are some of those momentum points throughout the semester of different activities that will be happening.
Thank you so much. A lot of excellent work already, and I think a great plan. So just some insights to be supportive. And I know Georgia State is one of the models, and I know a lot of their efforts are documented via resources, and we are also leaders. And so I just want to make sure we'll be able to tell our story as well. Thank you guys so much for your hard work.
But before we go, does any of the staff have a response to that question, Dr. Little? I want to add, I want to make sure you get.
No, I think that I appreciate the support. I think that the team appreciates the support as well. We are in this year trying to work with our partners that we've established with Achieving the Dream and with as being part of a Guided Pathways cohort to utilize some of their experts on data specifically to address these very issues, Dr. Little, that you brought up, to see how we can better measure those things. We've spent an enormous time just trying to build a team, build some structures, build some programs. And so I think we're trying to go into that kind of evaluative state. And what does that look like? What does that data look like for us? What are those intervals, those time periods that we need to look at, that everyone's looking at the same time? And so we're really kind of leaning on our institutional effectiveness department and also the data coaches and experts from both ATD, Achieving the Dream, and Guided Pathways to kind of help us develop that expertise, along with our liaisons from the chancellor's office. So we're pulling in all resources so we can do the very thing that you actually touched on. So thank you for the support.
Yeah, thank you again so much. I just think it's going to be an excellent story to tell. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're deep in the trenches doing all this work, no one is documenting the story, and you get to the other end and then it's like, oh, how did you do it? And I think it's important for you all who are doing the work to have some infrastructure around, almost like a videographer watching how you're doing it, so that way the story can be told and replicated. Because I know how it can be when your head's down and working. It's difficult to try to do both ends. So thank you again.
And so I do want to echo some of the questions and points that our board members brought up today. In one of the slides, I think it listed a couple of the programs that our students are able to access, one of them being EOPS. And I just want to make sure, I think it's the one that's titled Mypath. I want to make sure that as we're moving forward with Guided Pathways, that we align all these other additional programs. With Guided Pathways, we know what classes they're going to take, we know what books they're going to need. And so how can we get these services much sooner to our students and not have to wait on the third, second, second, third, or beyond week and having them to get book vouchers. And so how we can be in one cycle for everything, you know, make sure that they're not having to take a long time to reach out to a counselor and be able to get their, you know, pathway into finishing their either their AA certificate or actual transfer opportunity. And so just kind of discussing a couple of those. Dr. Curry.
No, I think we can do that. I'm sorry. We can do that, and we will. The CC Mypath. I want to say that I looked at it last week, Friday, and I think in the future we should have a board presentation on the Mypath. It's very interesting what's on that site. I think it'd be good to see a walkthrough for board members. But I do think that we could provide more information in regards to some of those programs. Caesar, you want to add anything? Dr. Menace?
Yes, sir. So what I like about TCC MyPath, it's an onboarding tool. So Trustee Lopez, what you mentioned of getting our services a little bit early on, this is exactly what it's going to do. As soon as a student submits their application through CCC Apply, I mean, they don't even have to hear back or anything. They're going to click on another button, and it takes them straight to the Compton College CCC MyPath, if you will, dashboard. And you can see there's some of the different cards, and depending on how they answer the question, you know, specific cards will be shown. So not all of them. And the other thing that I like about this too is that there's a checklist. So a student will know, you know, are they 50% done, 70% done, 75% done, and what they'll receive as well, and through the chancellor's office, also free of cost, is a nudge. So they're going to receive text messages. So, you know, if I might have openly disclosed X, Y, or Z, and there's a program that serves my needs, I'm going to get a text message that says, "Hey, Caesar, by the way, you know, you forgot to fill this out, or you still have, you know, some time left on that card. So make sure you complete it." So that's the other cool thing I like about CCC MyPath, is just a proactive nudging that's automated.
And so what are we doing at the moment right now proactively for those students that don't have this system at the moment, that are currently fall students or were summer students are in EOPS and haven't been able to access those vouchers, access those books, or access those services? What matrix, what are the follow-ups? What are we doing in that sense?
Vice President Martinez?
So right now we have, for the special programs specifically, or students generally, because we have two different things right now.
I guess both, so that so we're aware.
So for any of our general students, we have been able to deliver some special services or basic needs to some of our services. We have been able to deploy the hotspots and laptops for our students as of. We started deploying technology last week, and students will be getting some more this week.
And I asked Dr. Martinez, I don't want to be rude, but more specifically, because some of our summer students that I'm aware of that had applied for some of those services are barely being reached out in the fall, and they applied in the summer. And so that's an issue, because if there are devices, whether a laptop or a hotspot that was needed, and we're barely reaching out, I don't know where the disconnect was on that.
I might need to follow up on some of those specific students that you're talking about, Trustee Lopez, for sure. But I do know that for our categorical program specifically, they have also have contacted students and are going to be deploying technology this week out for EOPS specifically, and some of our Promise students that do have laptops to be able to give out for technology. Some of those our categorical programs, we're able to assist the students that already are existing and continuing in the program. If they're new to the program, then we have to wait a little bit toward till census day to be able to confirm that they're eligible for the program moving forward. But I do know that we were able to assist some of our continuing students. So if there are some that you do have, then I would like to look into that as well.
Thank you. And then I also want to open it up to our trustee for any questions or discussion.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure you guys could hear me okay. I might have to go in and out because of my server, but I just want to let everybody know that that's the main issue that a lot of our current students and students that are went there with the summer regarding of their laptop not working right, and they always ask me why it's taking so long, and I told them I'll get back with them with information once I get it. But that's the main issue right there. Like you mentioned, Madam President of mentioned that's one of the issues that's going on with the students reaching out to me by email, and I have forward one particular information to our president and regarding of the laptop not working. One of the students in my class informed me that the computer that he had he got for the summer went completely out, and he reached out to me. I forwarded to it, and I told I get back with the information. Then I gave the information, gave the information to IT, and that student is still disappointed because IT did not reach out to him regarding what he's supposed to do with the computer. That's went completely out on him, and he had to use somebody else's computer to sign into our class. So that's the main issue. I'm working with him, and I want to work with everybody, including IT and the staff, to try to solve this for the student, because I believe that students should have, if student get a computer or a hotspot, it should be working in working orders. So that's why I had to bring out. I turn the floor back over to Madam President. Madam President, you have the floor.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm moving on to our second presentation, Compton Community College District Final Budget. Dr. Curry.
Yeah, I'd like to turn it over to Steve Kabui, our Vice President of Administrative Services, to provide the presentation tonight on the 2020-2021 final budget. We've been providing information on budget to the Board of Trustees since last May. So this is our final budget presentation. And after that, we have the public hearing and hopeful formal adoption of the budget. Vice President Kabui.
Good evening, trustees and members of the public. So I'll be presenting the final 2021 Compton College adopted budget. So we're gonna first look at the assumptions, then unrestricted general fund budget, other funds budget, then question and answers. Budget assumptions. We estimate that we're gonna operate the general fund with 44 million and 5,000. This is straight from state revenues and local funds. State revenues will be generated by 5980 FTS, which is based on 1381 core section offerings. The governor did not provide any COLA, so the district does not have any COLA in its assumptions. Employees' pension. So the governor reduced temporary by 2 years pension for classified employees from 22.8% to 20.7%. And for teachers' retirement system was also reduced from 18.4% to 16.15%, which those two numbers are big savings so that we can be able to balance our budget. We're gonna be hiring a faculty position, the vacant one being UPS Care Guided Pathway Counselor. This one will come from the restricted general fund. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioner faculty member from the general fund. And we have 3 nursing instructors. Then we have a special resource center guided pathway counselor also from restricted fund. We're also gonna be hiring 5 police officers from the general fund, associate dean of nursing from restricted general fund, and the distant education manager also from restricted general fund. There will be a one-time budget augmentation of $250,000. $100,000 will be set aside for enrollment management plan, and $150,000 will be for the general budget augmentations. We have also budgeted $1.1 million to pay our line of credit. Then we're gonna also pay $250,000 for OPEB contribution, other post-employment retirement benefits. Then we're also gonna set aside $200,000 for pension stabilization funds for teachers retirement system and classified employee system. We're gonna reserve for expenditure $3.75 million. Out of these, $3 million is for our enterprise resource planning system. $400,000 is for personnel commission, and $350,000 is for the future Compton College Fire Academy. Then we're gonna make a transfer, 2 transfers of $500,000 million. The first one being $400,000 from the general fund to property and liability fund to pay for the property and liability insurance. Then another $100,000 from the general fund to the child development fund to support the operation of the children's center. So the children's center is none of the children's center in any college breaks even. So the general fund always has to come to the rescue. All right. General fund unrestricted budget summary. Beginning 2021 fiscal year, we're gonna begin the year with $16.6 million. Then, as I mentioned in our budget assumptions, we're gonna receive $44,005,000. So out of that 44 million, $36.1 million will come direct from the state in terms of apportionment and other fees, and local property taxes and other revenues will be almost $7.9 million, 7.896. So a total of 44 million. Then our expenditures. Academic size, we're gonna pay $15.3 million, which is equivalent to about 35% of the total expenditures. Classified size, $8.7 million, which is about 20% of total expenditures. Benefits, $11.175 million. So total size and benefit, if you look at that number, it's about 35 million out of 43 million total. So we are looking at 81% as personnel costs, which is expected, and that's where all the districts are. Actually, some districts are even higher, but we are service driven, so it's expected. Then supplies, we estimate we're gonna be 98,000. Contracts and other operating expenses is $5.265 million. Capital outlay, 200,000, and other outgo, $1.75 million. So total, then we estimate our ending fund balance will be $17.3 million, which is about the right number where we are headed because of the deferrals, and which is well above the board policy of 10%. Next slide. Restricted general fund. So we're gonna begin the year 2020-21 with $2.2 million. Then we're gonna receive a total of $15.6 million, 2.9 from the federal government, primary CARES Act and COVID funds. From the state categorical grants, almost 11 million, 10.96. Then from local sources, $1.6 million. We're gonna pay 2.4 for academic, 3 million for classified benefits, 1.9 supplies, $1.5 million, contracts and other operating expenses, 1.9, capital outlay, 998,000, and other outgo primary students, over $2 million. So ending fund balance there will be $3.8 million. Our recovery fund. The beginning balance for our recovery fund will be $985,000. We expect to receive revenues from the state of $3.4 million, and we plan to spend it all. Classified status with $473,000, benefits $219,000, contracts and other operating expenses $3.3 million, and capital outlay of $400,000. General obligation bonds funds summary. So measure C, series A. Beginning balance will be 33,193,000. Local revenue 400,000, primarily from county treasurer interest. Capital expenditures 21 million, 21.8. Then ending fund balance will be $11.7 million. Measure CC, series D. The beginning balance is $1.3 million. Revenues from the county treasurer, 20,000. Expenditures, we plan to spend 654,000. Ending fund balance will be 754,000. Measure CC, series E. Beginning balance, we estimate $4.3 million. Revenue from the county treasurer, 100,000. Expenditures, $3.5 million. Then ending fund balance is budgeted at 953,000. Financial aid fund. We estimate to begin the balance with 410,000. We expect to receive from the federal government primary Pell grants, $11.5 million. From the state, $1.3 million, and from local sources, revenue interest from the county, 16,000. And we plan to spend it all because this is a pass-through fund to our students. So as you can see, almost 400,000 will be left, and the ending fund balance will be around $836,000. Next slide. Yeah, and that's end my budget presentation summary for the 2021 fiscal year. And by law, the board is required to adopt the budget by September 15, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any questions or discussion?
I do not.
Trustee Ramos,
No, thank you.
Dr. Little,
No questions.
Trustee Atkins,
No questions.
all right, thank you very much for your presentation. Moving on to item number 15. Now we will host a public hearing for 2020-2021 Compton Community College District Final Budget. And at 6:16, we are opening the floor for anyone to have public comment on this item. I believe we have Heather. If you can raise your hand and we will call on your name. Heather, do you see any names? I believe it's Heather who's conducting the meeting, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, there's no one raised their hand.
All right, seeing no discussion, I will close the public hearing. Moving on to item number 16, adoption of the 2020-2021 Compton Community College District Final Budget. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc, seconded by Trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion?
I do want to say thank you to the staff, particularly Steve Kaboy, for their work on the final budget, even during these budget times and the budget uncertainty. I feel this is a good budget for the district, and I recommend approval. And also in your board letter, there's a copy of the letter from the Planning and Budget Committee did review, and they supported the recommendation for the of the budget. So I recommend approval.
All right. Board members, I'm going to start with Dr. LeBlanc because we're in discussion. If you have any discussion.
No discussion.
All right, Trustee Ramos,
Nope.
Dr. Little,
No.
Trustee Atkins.
No discussion.
All right, Ms. Paula, roll call.
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos, Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez,
Aye.
Student Trustee Atkins.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 17, public hearing on the Compton Community College District Initial Collective Bargaining Proposal to Compton Community College District Federation of Classified Employees, Local 3486-1. It is 6:18 and I am opening the floor for any public comment on this issue. Heather, if you can let me know if anyone has raised their hand for this particular issue.
There's no hand raised.
All right, seeing no comments on the floor, we are closing the public hearing. All right, moving over to consent agenda number 18. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc, and I want to say I heard.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Little for second. Do we have any discussion on this on consent agenda? I'll start off with Dr. LeBlanc if there's anything you want to discuss on.
No, there isn't. Thank you.
Trustee Ramos,
Nope.
Dr. Little,
No.
Trustee Atkins.
No discussion.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Paula, will you do the roll call, please?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
Trustee Ramos,
Aye.
Student Trustee Atkins,
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items number 19, we have 19.01 Community College Resolution 0908-2020B in support of Proposition 16 to amend the Constitution of California to repeal Proposition 209. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Ramos, seconded by Dr. LeBlanc. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paula, can you call the question?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
trustee Ramos,
Aye.
student trustee Atkins,
Aye.
trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 19.02, Administrative Services, Compton Community College District Resolution 0908-2020C, Budget Transfers, Implementations for Fiscal Years 2019 and 2020. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc and moved by Dr. Little, seconded by Dr. LeBlanc. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Paula?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
trustee Ramos,
Aye.
student trustee Atkins,
Aye.
trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 19.03, Administrative Services, Contracts over 95,200, Computerland of Silicon Valley. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little, seconded by trustee Ramos. Do we have any discussion? Ms. Paula, can you do a roll call, please?
Dr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Dr. Little,
Aye.
trustee Ramos, trustee Ramos,
Aye.
student trustee Atkins,
Aye.
trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 20, discussion and action items. Item 20.01, California Community College Trustee Fellowship. Dr. Curry?
So I just want to spend a little bit of time on the September 25th. The board will be participating in the next workshop for the trustee fellowship, and there's some pre-homework
Hello.
that the board has to complete prior to.
Hi, Siping. How are you?
Dr. Little, you have your mic on.
So before the workshop that's on the 25th, the board has some pre-work that has to be done. And so Heather, Lauren, if you can go down to the last attachment, which is the pre-work, which is the last that right there. And so in your packet, it talks about some things that the board should discuss prior to the meeting. And we go to page 5 of this packet. So basically, the whole focus would be going back to look at some of the goals that the board had from the last for the retreat in July, and the goals for the board from the retreat in July focus on a couple of different areas, but the board wanted to focus on the faculty staff diversity, professional development activities, guided pathways implementation, and also difficult conversations. How the board should be involved in encouraging difficult conversations that come to college, including race, social justice, and social justice types of conversations. And so the board focused on 4 different areas to focus on regards to this fellowship, which I just mentioned. And so the question that they have that the board should talk about and reflect on, what else does the board need to know in order to strengthen its support for student success and equity work at Compton? And look at those 4 different areas as a part of the conversation. So if I can get some advice from the board, any thoughts, that would be helpful as it relates to the pre-work.
And so I will start off with Dr. LeBlanc.
I don't have anything to add.
All right, trustee Ramos?
No comment.
Dr. Little? Dr. Little? She may
Yes.
if there's anything to add on the particular for the upcoming autumn workshop?
No, in terms of our trustee fellowship?
Correct.
No, not right now. I just think that our continued efforts and on some of the work groups that are happening across the state is important as well, to really think about accountability and transparency.
All right. Trustee Atkins, do you have anything to add?
No.
And then 22. Give me a second, Dr. Curry. I'm pulling up the documents. I think one of the perspectives, and I think we talked about this, it just strengthens support is really the surveys, if we have any that we follow up with our students, especially after this pandemic, how our college was able to respond and how if they receive their information. I know we rely heavily on emails, and I don't know if we're able to track how many of our emails are actually opened, deleted, or go to their junk mail. If that's the only means of communication, then how can we strengthen communication between our students in order for them to be able to get services? I know that we do use social media, but not everybody may necessarily be following us or accessing our information. And so how are we getting this to our students, especially during this pandemic, and ensuring that every student has access to the technology that we're offering, to the food services that we're offering, and to the assistance that our campus has really been working hard to implement all these programs for them. That's part of their student success.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else for 20.01?
No, I will start preparing the response for the board members and get something out by next week.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 20.02, the Oliver W. Connor Estate Update. Dr. Curry.
So what I did this month was provide an update of where we're at regards to the Oliver W. Connor and the different activities that are associated with the resolution that was approved by the Board of Trustees. So this is more of an informational item, but there's a lot of activity that is happening regards to the estate. The first one is the final counting regards to the previous trustee with Gary Pickett. So you have information on that. You also have some more administrative first accounting accounts. So we're trying to just understand the different accounts that we have and trying to monitor that with number 2. We also trying to liquidate some accounts as well. And so we have more information on that for there. And then we also have the value of the real estate properties, which is about $4.3 million. We do have one payment that's due to the heirs of the family members. So we paid out $3.6 million. We owe another $400,000. However, the amount that's in our estate, we don't want to use all of that. So we will be taking out a loan to be able to pay the rest of that balance off. The big issue that we're dealing with is number 7, which is our amended tax return, which they say it could take up to 3 years to receive the $1.6 million. And so we're just working through these issues. I meet with our attorney and our estate administrator once a month, and we'll be providing updates to the board like this each month as we move forward.
All right. Dr. LeBlanc, do you have any questions?
No, thank you so much for the updates, because I'm very interested in the ongoing development of this promise program. Thank you.
Trustee Ramos?
Nope.
Dr. Little?
No, just thank you so much for the update and just the continued efforts.
Trustee Atkins?
No.
Dr. Curry, I would love a report to see the impact of this pandemic, what it has done to the property or any of the residents in the property, especially if there's been a loss because unable to pay rent. And we are the oversight of those properties and what we are providing, either an assistance or no assistance. It would be good to know if there is going to be a financial impact on that.
We can do that, but also too, one thing is that we have one property that's on the 11619 Long Beach Boulevard. I'm going to be going to look at that within the next 2 weeks That's an office space that we're looking at trying to rent out to some businesses, but also I just want to get a sense of the feel of what that property looks like. And that could be a property that we can use for the district for some activities if needed. But we're trying to look, that's one property that needs to be rented. And then also the home needs to be rented out as well. But I can follow back up on your questions, Board President Lopez.
The 11619, is that what cities? Are we referencing Linwood or are we referencing?
That was in Linwood.
Got it. All right. Moving on to 20.04, dual enrollment, important dates and deadlines, 2020, 21.
So can I go to 20.03 first?
Did I miss that one? I apologize. Yes, I did miss it. Let me go back. We will do 20.03, Foundation for Compton Community College District.
So the foundation for Compton Community College District included is just an updated presentation about the foundation. Just want the board to know we had our first foundation board meeting last Thursday. We picked up new members for the foundation, which click the next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So we reestablished the foundation, which we talked about in the last previous meeting. The first board meeting was held on the September 3rd. You can check out the website, get more information about the foundation. Next slide. The board, at the board meeting, they reviewed the purpose of the organization and also talked about the bylaws and also received the presentation on Compton College 2024. And then also the auditing firm that's doing the operational review provided a presentation. Next slide. The board approved meeting dates. The next meeting is November 5th. And you see the rest of the meeting dates. They're all going to be held through Zoom at 6:00 p.m. Next slide. The board of directors give you a sense of what the numbers should be for the board and also term of office 2 years, but individuals can be reappointed to serve consecutive terms. Next slide. Just give you a sense, I talked about this last month, of who's on the board. Next slide. So what happened in the last meeting? So these were the current members: Paul Simpson, Rochelle Webb, myself, Steve Kabui, and Rodney Murray as a committee member. Next slide. These were the additional members that were picked up at the last board meeting. Now we're looking for some more additional members. One of my recommendations regards to new members is the bylaws would have to be changed, but I think it's be very important if the Board of Trustees have a representative for on the foundation. And so as we move through the process of updating their bylaws to make this work, we could be able to bring back a recommendation, hopefully at a board meeting in October or November, for the board to appoint someone to serve on the foundation board to represent the Board of Trustees. And that's the website for the foundation.
Thank you very much. So now we move on to item 20.04, dual enrollment, important dates and deadlines, 2020-2021 timeline, Dr. Curry.
Yeah, so this is just to give you a sense. We talked about this before, and the Board of Trustees had questions about dual enrollment, what's the timelines, and how we're able to, the connection with our K-12 districts. So the staff in the Educational Partnerships Department created a timeline for the entire year as relates to dual enrollment and paperwork that students have to complete. And I think this timeline will help us be even more successful. One thing that helps as well with Paramount, and not Paramount, but Linwood and Compton Unified School District is that we're meeting monthly regards to dual enrollment and our dual enrollment activities. So this gives the board the timeline of the activities that are happening. So if someone calls you about what's going on, at least the Board of Trustees know what's our timeline. Any questions?
I will start off with Dr. LeBlanc. Do you have any questions on the presentation for dual enrollment?
No questions for dual enrollment. Thank you so much.
Trustee Ramos?
No questions.
Dr. Little?
No questions.
Trustee Atkins?
No questions.
All right, thank you very much. We are moving on to item number 21. Grant items 21.01 Administrative Services Grants Foundation for California Community Colleges Equitable Emergency Aid Subgrant. Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion, board members, for item 21.01?
So move.
Second.
It has been moved by Trustee Ramos and seconded by Dr. Little. Do we have any discussion? Dr. LeBlanc?
No discussion.
Trustee Ramos?
Nope.
Dr. Little?
Yes.
Any discussion for item 21.01?
No discussion.
Trustee Atkins?
No discussion.
Ms. Paula, roll call, please.
Dr. LeBlanc? Dr. LeBlanc?
Dr. LeBlanc said aye.
Thank you. Dr. Little?
Aye.
Trustee Ramos?
Aye.
Trustee Lopez?
Aye.
Student Trustee Atkins?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 21.02, Administrative Services Contracts over 95,200, California Community College Chancellor's Office Foster and Kinship Care Education Program. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. LeBlanc and seconded by Dr. Little. Do we have any discussion? Dr. LeBlanc? Trustee Ramos?
Nope.
Dr. Little?
No.
Trustee Atkins?
No.
Ms. Paula, roll call, please.
Dr. LeBlanc?
Aye.
Dr. Little?
Aye.
Trustee Ramos?
Aye.
Student Trustee Atkins?
Aye.
Trustee Lopez?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 22 for information items. We normally don't go through all of them. And so before I move it over to Dr. Curry, I wanted to ask the Board of Trustees if there's any particular one that you want to highlight and go further into detail. I'll start off with Dr. LeBlanc.
No, I have no items. Thank you.
Trustee Ramos.
No, thank you.
Dr. Little.
No, thank you.
Trustee Atkins.
No.
All right, Dr. Curry, can you please give us an update on item number 22?
These are updated items that we provide for information for the board. I think it's important for the board to look at item 22.06, which is our action plan related to our planning documents. So this gives you the first update. We talked about this in July, that we're creating one master document for all of our action plans. So this is the first update of the year. We'll be providing quarterly updates to the Board of Trustees. Also want to just point out for the board, there's an update, item number 22.22, which is update on Compton College professional development. And there's been a lot of work that's been done in this area. But that concludes my updates on informational items, but a lot of items that are there for the Board of Trustees as information.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 23, board policies and administrative regulations.
Lauren, can you open up the last attachment on this item, please? So I just want to give you a sense of we're tracking all the board policies that come from the board. This is the 1 month that we're off because we focus on the September on the budget. But this gives you a sense of where we're at for our board policies and the policies that are coming up in October. So in February, we provide the list of board policies that are being reviewed this year. And this gives you and also administrative regulations, and this gives you check marks of which ones have been completed. And this is one of the goals of the Board of Trustees, to be able to monitor the board policies. So this month, I want to provide you with the updated which ones have been completed off the list. We're ahead of schedule. There's only one that we're still trying to figure out, which is board policy 3800, regards to personal data. And we were told that we don't have to utilize this policy, but we want to look at it one more time to make sure that's something that we want to delete as a policy of the board. But pretty impressive, the work that's been done on board policies.
All right. And then will you have a board policy before us or I'm not sure if we've already approved one, to have a board member participate in the foundation?
No, it won't be a policy. It'll be an amendment to the foundation bylaws to make this happen. And then for the board to have a appoint someone as a part of the board to serve on the foundation. So it'll be an action item on the board agenda for the board to appoint someone.
Got it. Okay. Moving on to item number 24, future agenda items. I know you normally just let us know what you will be sharing with us in future boards. So if there's anything you want to highlight.
No, there's no highlights from me.
All right. Moving on to item number 25, or reports, Dr. Curry.
Just a couple things I want to put out there. One is to say thank you again to the staff for the 2020-2021 budget. I'm excited that this budget was approved by the Board of Trustees. Now we can move forward with implementing the activity associated with the budget. Also want to let everyone know that we provided an update a couple months ago about our participation in the USC Alliance program. And this week we have some of our faculty and staff participating in understanding and addressing implicit bias, which is this Thursday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. And then also too, I want to say thank you to all the faculty and staff who were involved in the planning of our professional development week activities. I felt that it went very well. At the next board meeting, our goal is to bring forward the evaluation from the professional development week. And that concludes my report.
All right, moving on to our student trustee, Trustee Atkins.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank the, thank you to my Compton family and friends for supporting me. And I'm looking forward to work closely with everybody on Compton College. And I'm ready to go to work. And as you know, I've been working already ever since it's hard for me to say. I just want to cry for the one that I'm so happy I got this position, but I want to thank the whole Compton family, including the board, and especially President Curry for his wonderful, wonderful hard work as president and CEO of Compton College. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to work with you guys closely. That's my report. I turn it back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Moving over to Board of Trustees, Dr. LeBlanc.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to invite everyone to our next town hall meeting. That will be October 13th. That's the fall meeting. We just had our summer meeting last month. I'd like to thank Dr. Curry and his staff for their ongoing excellence with the district. Special thanks to the Guided Pathway presenters, and a double thanks to on the budget. We got through that. Thank you so much for your hard work, Steve, and getting that done and getting it on time. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to welcome our new student trustee, Mr. Benson Atkins. Welcome.
Thank you.
Moving on to Trustee Ramos.
No report.
Dr. Little.
Yes, I just want to also thank everyone for their participation and their information tonight. Thank you very much for the staff and Dr. Curry for their continued work, especially during these challenging times. And I also too want to welcome our newest student trustee. Thank you so much for your commitment and service and your outstanding contribution.
Thank you.
I have no report, except for congratulations to our new trustee. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing your reports on behalf of the student body and see how we as a board can help.
Thank you, Madam President. That's my plan.
Moving on, our next regularly scheduled board meeting is on Tuesday, October 20th at 2020. Closed session is at 4 o'clock. Open session is at 5 o'clock. Today, we are adjourning in honor of one of our local elected officials, Mom, Maria de Luz Solache, in her memory. I didn't get any notification from any of our other board members, but thank you so much. It is 6:45 and this meeting is adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.